Hello, everyone, and welcome to the finale of the Sundrop Cup Series season. Season 7 of the NSDCA ends with the Champions 400 in the Sundrop Cup Series. Auto Club winner Jay Jefferson starts where he left off on pole for today, while Brady Burkhart gets a front row start. He rolls off in P2. 40 drivers in the grid, 42 qualified, and 2 went home. It's sure to be an exciting 94 laps here for the season finale. And of course, I'm joined by Peter in the booth for one more time this season to end off the Cup Series schedule.
Well, it's good to be back, and hopefully everybody at home hasn't had enough of me yet. Do see some cloud cover here rolling in, covering Kansas today. Unlike the Truck Series race, which had a ton of action in it, this race could even have even more if the threat of rain is looming on these drivers. But 40 of the best here in North American stock car racing today, as always, should be a great show.
If you're looking at this, the difference, another difference between the Truck and Cup races is in the Cup Series, the championship is almost pretty much decided. Cucalon has had an amazing chase run. He's 44 points up on Brandon Morris. Morris needs to finish third or better, while Cucalon has to finish 31st or worse for that to change. No bonus points needed, but if Cucalon leads laps, that could spell more problems for the 55. No matter what, as long as Cucalon has the same luck he's had all chase long, run even inside the top 25 and just keep all 4 wheels on the track, the engine all right, this 19 team should be able to go to victory lane. Of course, if Morris wins the race, gets max points, that'll move that gap up a little bit, but we'll cover that in the race if that situation does progress. And another thing for your championship contender in the 55, Brandon Morris announced at the pre-race ceremonies today at the driver meeting that he will be stepping aside from the 55, stepping aside from full-time racing in the NSDCA. He did not rule out making attempts at the Sundrop 500 as well as Pocono and Steelback next year in front of the home crowd, but will not be returning to BGM. Another driver not returning to their team, Riley Spurleytube, running a throwback scheme to his first ever career win in the NSDCA, that being at Kentucky in the Mountain Dew Custom Series 6 years ago. He will be leaving TSR, going to Sauber Racing Team full-time in the Cup car next year. And joining him in the top 10 retiring is Alex Benyako in the 83. Also, Eli Bright, Jacob Edson retiring from the NSDCA as well after this race. A lot of guys leaving at the end of the season, but still we have one race to go to watch them go.
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking to see some of the old guard leaving, but the new guard is just as exciting, and hopefully the fans of those drivers parting ways will find new ones to cheer for. I know I'll miss a lot of them. You see their next Benyako's the 47 of Matthew Eves. That 47 team has had a whirlwind of a weekend, especially not only for the driver, but for the team as well. Kind of packing up shop, end of an era. CFRO basically splitting in half, one half going to be controlled by drivers Dusty Neal and Rolls Henson, the other collapsing basically into Ange Auto, with Tib Foster taking a bigger role at that team. So kind of one of the more upper midfield teams splitting ways with the NSDCA after this race.
Looking throughout the field, Roger Ray, Tib Foster, Carson Bowers all starting just outside the top 15, or just inside the top 15, while Anjak starts out by 19th. You got a bunch of chase contenders in the midfield, all packed together. There's Eli Bright, his final start in the 8. Jacob Edson has not ruled out returning, like he has never had on while retiring. But he is definitely retiring from full-time competition at the end of this season. The 82 will not have him anymore. Felix Janssen in the 62 this week, continuing on back. Bit of a poor run in qualifying for Diego Yepes. And Dusty Neal, as we said, CFRO breaking up. They will be starting 39th today for Dusty, and alongside him is another CFRO driver, but in the GDI car this weekend. That's the 65 of Stephen Wallace Jr. That 65 equipment will be going with CFRO. We're going to go ahead, take a step down trackside for the commands.
Drivers, start your engines!
With that, the engines are fired. We're rolling off for 94 laps here at Kansas Champions 400 here. Sure to be exciting. As it stands, the difference in the title is 44 points. That means if Morris was to win this race and gather the most points, 52 points with the lap led, most laps led, Cucalon would have to finish 24th or better. If Morris does not win this race, gets no laps led, no bonus points, and he finishes second, getting him 47 points, then Cucalon would have to finish 29th or better. Else, Cucalon has to finish outside the top 30. Morris would have to hope and pray for a good run. Probably needs to get bonus points, but we'll see how that goes. Also to point out, Jay Jefferson, 7th pole on the season for the 48 team. A fantastic qualifying run for, I guess, Mr. Saturday this year, but he's looking for his 4th win too. A pretty successful year for the 48, all things considered. We're getting ready to come through turn 3 and go racing.
Everybody's on their feet to end this one off. Pace car will make the hard left turn down pit lane. 2 of the NSDCA's veterans, Jefferson and Burkhart, lead us down. We got a championship to decide. We got a season to end, folks. We are green from Kansas. There we go.
Down the back straightaway, Jay Jefferson absolutely off to the races as Murray Burkhart's going to send it in on the outside. Murray trying to run that inside line to what he can as he's getting the push of his life from Morris and Spurleytube. Jefferson out to the early lead. We're down the front straightaway 2x2, and they're keeping it clean so far. A little bit of 3 wide in the back could get a little dangerous here. We're going to take a look at that as Strigley Edson are going at it 3 wide, but we spread it on out. And we're back green right now. 2 laps into this one. Jefferson out to the races.
Very, very dicey here early on as everybody jockeys for position. They know this is the tightest the field's going to be packed all race, so they want to get as much real estate as they can. Austin Murray trying to hang it around the high side there. Spurleytube trying to make a move here on Morris on the high side. And right now, with Cucalon slipping back, that's what Morris wants to see. But Cucalon really needs to drop back further than that if he wants to have even a shot at this. Jefferson trying to maintain his gap here early as Cucalon has his teammate Alex Benyako in his final run right underneath him. He's actually boxed in by his teammates right now.
You see Murray started this race near the front. That 24 starting to drop back. You got Porta, Foster, Onjak back there as well. This race has a lot of drivers making their last start either for their own teams. There's a couple teams closing down or merging this season. There's a couple drivers retiring or changing rides this season. A lot of changes happening for season number 8 as we got the fight up front. Jefferson long gone. Cucalon looked like that 19 almost got a piece of the wall there. He was real far out, and that 19's dropping back fairly steadily right now. But still, again, needs a lot more than that. He does have some right side damage, so Cucalon got shoved in the wall, I think, in turn number 1.
That's going to be worrying, especially if there's a tire rub or something on that Freightliner Camry. If he has to make an unscheduled pit stop, that could absolutely wreck his day. Onjak making a big dive there underneath Porta to crack the top 10.
You see Foster back there as well. Matthew Eves hanging strong up here in that 47 car. Look at Roger Ray up in 6th. Riley Spurleytube 5th. Actually, they're in 4th and 5th right now for those two as Benyako's up here. But as we said, looking at some of these guys, it's Spurleytube's last race. He's running a tribute scheme to himself, as well as a bit to his teammate Eli Bright, who is retiring today. Both Bright and Spurleytube got their first career NSDCA victories running that scheme. One was the Mountain Dew Custom Series for Spurleytube, and of course, when Spurleytube was injured in the Truck Series, Eli Bright took over the 28 Coors Light truck that Spurleytube was supposed to run. Eli got that win at Richmond. So that scheme, very big for this weekend. As you see Roger Ray absolutely running amazing. 4th right now, and his teammates, Onjak, Foster, they're just outside this top 10, pushing their way towards the front, as this field has already spread out very far. And even still with Kansas, this track could be very spread out. You could get some long green flag runs or some short green flag runs with a bunch of crashes in the middle. No matter what, it's going to put on a show. As Jefferson, though, is putting on a show for the fans. He is long gone 7 laps into this.
Yep, the 48 been dominant so far. Looks like they're kind of spreading out in the top 5, but a lap or two, you're going to see a lot of comers and goers this race. They'll all be bunched up trying to pass each other once again. Here comes Foster underneath Benyako. Here for somewhere in the top 10. I don't think it's for 5th. Yeah, deep into the top 10. That's the battle for 7th. as Foster gets it, one car on the apron, Austin Murray, I think he got into the wall with Cucalon, because I saw him earlier a few laps ago, stuck 3 wide, dropping back, so I think they did have to pit that car for whatever damage they sustained, but obviously they saved it in whatever incident they had because there was no yellow. Jeff Alloy, Irving Allison making up ground. Colton Lane, I think, started fairly deep in the field in the 60. He's up here as they slice through the mid-pack. Srigley, Bright trying to end off their seasons on a high note.
Real close by Friesen and DeLello there. 3 wide is definitely the worst place to be coming down that front straightaway. Coming off of the tribal, you just run out of so much room. You see Benyako, Foster, Cucalon up here, so that not 19. It's not big so far, but the bigger thing is if they're going to have to repair that car, kind of fix that right side, because if he doesn't have the pace, he could lose a lot of time as this race goes on. If he has all that damage, this could be big for the 19 team here in their fight for the championship, as Morris right now is in second. He's trying to chase him down. And you see Burkhart there in third. If you remember a couple of years ago when Burkhart was fighting for the championship with Yepes, it was the 6 truck of Morris who got in and turned the 77. We'll see what Brady will do, but Brady is teammates and the owner of the 19. I'm sure he'd still love to see that in the championship. Of course, if Cucalon wins this championship, SBR has all 3 championships locked up this season. As you see, Ray and Onjak now breaking into the top 5. Onjado is on their way to the front.
Lost my train of thought there, what I was going to say next, but everybody's still single file up here. Onjak could make a big dive here on his teammate, Roger Ray. We saw that in the truck race. These aggressive sends down into turn 3, but a lot of them, most of the time, went wrong and saw that leading car go up into the outside wall, so good for the 44 to catch that and just not drive through the car ahead of him. Now Spurley Tube wants that spot back into turn 1. Dodge veterans here duking it out at Kansas. Looking a little bit further back, I saw Cody Goforth leading a big gaggle of cars. Looks like that's calmed down a little bit as he's underneath Larry Hagan. Hagan joining the Toyota fold next season.
And SBR BGM, of course, getting a lot of drivers retiring, a lot of drivers in. Here comes the 19, so that's it. They thought that right side damage is going to be too much for the 19 team. They're going to repair it now. It's going to cost him some time, and this is what he needs to change his championship around. The 55 and the 19. If Morris finishes up front, he could have the title. The 19's down pit road, but it's still going to take a lot. It's a long way to go, and the 55 still would need to finish. I mean, no matter what, the 55 has to finish first, second, or third to even have a shot. So Morris has a long way to go. That is big in the championship fight for that. A big change between those two. As you see the rest of the field back there, there's Reed, there's Eli Bright, the rest of them. And we're going to take a quick look at the 19 team, if we can get to them, as we go through the field. They're going to be repairing the side of that car. You see the leaders, they're going to be coming out of turn number 4 here, so he's going to go 1 lap down. But no, they really did a good job on that 19 team. Got that repaired quick, and now I think he's only going to fall maybe a lap down here. You see Jefferson going by him on the outside, so that is much better for Cucalon, especially in comparison to the last few seasons. A free pass does exist, so does waiver rounds in the NSDCA, so he can get his lap back. Plus, if he's back up here now, he'll have some clean track ahead of him, maybe after Onjak goes by him. But it is going to be fighting from the back now for the 19 team as Morris sits in second.
Perfect execution by Shade Burkhart Racing. Cucalon's damaged. He says, I need to pit. I could feel the tire rubbing. Stay out until you get into that fuel window. He pit 14 laps into the race as they almost wipe out in front of him, but he only has to make 2 more stops after this. He's within the fuel window. The fuel window opens basically around lap 13 for these guys, so Cucalon is good to go. If he can catch a caution right, he could trap the entire field laps down. They did a good job. They took their time. They knew it was early. They had that time to spare. No worries now for the 19. He just has to make sure he isn't the one bit by the caution.
And actually, I guess the ticker failed to update on time, so Cucalon is 2 laps down. Though, again, as Peter said,
that's all right.
As Peter said, we got only 13 or so laps until the fuel window opens for the 30-lap window. You also got the 55. Again, remember, just because Cucalon is back there, now he's got to worry about the 55, and he's chasing down and trying to catch Jefferson. But in all honesty, Morris still needs to finish in the top 3. They have taken off entirely from the rest of the field, but anything can happen on pit windows. And you see Cucalon, look at that 19 car, fired out of a rocket, was fighting the 40 like a lap ago. Now he's flying by the 28. If he can get by Burkhardt, he might be able to race his way back around and get one of his laps back manually if he has the pace for it. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. But again, in about 12 laps, he'll be back on the lead lap racing these guys, and all he'd need is a caution, maybe, with anyone as well. You can see the 55 still have an issue. It's still a long way to go. We're not even a quarter of the way through this race yet.
That's a tough thing because, yeah, Cucalon is cutting through this field like a hot knife through butter right now on those fresh tires, but everybody in 10 laps come down, get some fresh ones themselves. Cucalon's tires are going to be cooked by then, and he'll drop back. It's still going to even out. Cucalon still needs to catch a yellow, really. It's off sequence. This was not by design, but also I think it might inspire some of these guys to undercut just a little bit, possibly shorten these runs up, maybe pit every 25 laps to go to the end, just to use those fresh tires, because clearly they are working today. It's a little bit windy out. You saw the helicopter almost getting pushed on its side up there in the sky. But obviously it's not affecting the on-track action because these cars are planted to the racetrack, dicing it out still, even on these long runs.
And that's, you see, Cucalon putting another car behind him. That's on Jack. Good thing right now, as it stands, if a caution was to come out now, he's probably hoping for at least one right now. Because if we get to the point where these guys start going a lap down, the free pass is over for him. See Butcher and Duncan right there on each other. Luke Evans near the back. Jefferson and Morris fighting for that top spot. Here comes Cucalon. But another big thing, as it stands right now, if Sebi is able to outrun and pass the 48 here, before they get onto pit road, he'd only be a lap behind. If you're pitting, it's probably going to be about a lap without having to do some damage repairs. So he'd still be near the rear of the guys on the lead lap. But depending on how these cautions, how these pit cycles could come out, he just needs one like within 10 laps of these guys pitting under green, and he'd be trapped back on the lead lap. Could have a shot at this. You see the 55 now starting to heat up and hunt the 48 down this front straightaway. Here we go. This is going to be for the lead, and Morris cannot get aggressive here. Does not want to get aggressive. If he gets into that 48, Jay will make sure he feels it because these guys have not been good friends off track mostly, but these two respect each other on track, at least for now. We'll see how this 55 works his way past the 48.
Man, Morris had a huge run there into turn one, wanted to take it, couldn't. Excellent defense by Jefferson, 2 of the NSDCA's best, duking it out here. Morris could be his final time here. Let's go on board with the veterans, see if he can get this lead before pit stops.
Got a big run into 1, but couldn't squeeze it under Jay. You don't want to do that. You see some lap traffic up there, and the 55 got real tight coming off the corner. He's going to lose a ton of time on the 48 car there as he came off the corner. We saw that in the truck race yesterday. It's real hard to follow up on these guys at this track, it looks, this year. That might be the colder weather. It might be the cloud cover, but these cars get really tight behind someone else, and if you don't want to run into them, you might have to let off. You saw him let off a bit there. You hear him going up and down on the throttle. You got to just let off in these corners. Don't really have to apply too much brake. This track's very wide, very fast. You see him already caught right back up to the 48 using that draft right on the back bumper of Jay. Jay knows what it's like to be fighting from behind in a championship fight. That's how he got the championship last year in both the races. You just got to make sure you are there at the end. And right now that 55, he's there at the beginning. We'll see how he is at the end. A big run off of turn number 4. Let's see if he'll take it this time. Into turn 1, looking to the inside. He's not going to take it. Does not want to get in and wreck that 48.
He can't risk it. He knows Jefferson's going to pinch to his inside. A lap ago, through turns 1 and 2, he was a little bit further out from the 48, was able to punch the throttle at the right perfect time to close up to him to 3 and 4. And in 3 and 4, he was closer to Jefferson. That dirty air got to him. Couldn't get that as effective. It's that give and take in this battle which makes it so tricky. And I think when it comes down to it late in this race, if that's 3 to go going down into turn 1, Morris is making that move on Jefferson come hell or high water. If he has to spin up into the wall, that's what he's going to do to win a championship. One car blowing up, and it's the 40 of Tib Foster. Another gut punch to what has been an up-and-down season.
That car day done for Foster. Heartbreaking to see for the Angiato driver. You got Angiato, though, running very well. Roger Ray still in 5th. You got Matthew Eves. Look at these underdogs up here. Let's take a look away from these leaders for a minute. Ray might be coming down pit road. I think these guys are going high. Ray is going to come down right by his teammate Foster. You got Benyako in there too. We'll see how the 40 affects pit stops. But look at those guys that were kind of underdogs up here. Ray, Benyako, and as we said, 28 laps in is about where the fuel window is going to be. See Vince Freeze in the 34 right there. There's Cucalon. So I think the 48, all those guys in front of him have come down pit road already. And now Sebi, this is what he needs to do. He's got one lap back going by the 48 last time. I think this time he's going to get his other lap back as they go on by. So there's Jay and Morris coming out. Cucalon will be at the tail end of the crew. But if you're looking at it here, if you're looking at it to the end of this race, Yepes and Aiden Smith making some time there. I don't know who is going to be staying out, who's actually come in yet. So we'll just wait till the ticker does update. Matty Porta, of course, leading that last lap. If we're looking at this, Cucalon came in on lap, what was it, 16? You run that about 30 laps. We'll say 28. We'll say 30 laps for the estimation. You make it to 46. You make it to 76. And then it's only 18 or so laps to the end of the race where those guys might have to pit with maybe 15 to go. So even still, I don't think Cucalon has to worry about trapping the field a lap down and getting these spots back. I think he can, if it's possible. If he's on the lead lap right now, he'd be picking up a ton of spots. Well, he's not on the lead lap right now. People are still on track, but he'd be picking up a ton of spots right now. You see him going by people that he would be taking points away, and he just needs to get ahead of 30th if Morris is to finish in third. He'd need a couple more spots than that, but I think Sebi, it's not out of the park yet if this race does go green the entire way. I don't know if he necessarily needs to catch a caution at the right time to guarantee a shot at this title. Field's still trying to update.
Now, here's the tough part. Sorry to cut you off there. Jefferson's going by all these guys. You see Picard, I think the 81, the 69 of Downey, the 07 as well. Now, these guys are a lap down. If a caution comes out at the wrong time, Cucalon is buried so far down the free pass order. We almost get a caution there, the 07 and 04, mixing it up down the tri-oval. But if Cucalon was going to get a caution that really benefited him, it would have to happen in that first cycle because now lap traffic is going to be interrupting those plans the rest of this race.
And that would have been even bigger because where those guys were was maybe a second up the road on Morris. I don't know if Morris would have been able to get back past that if those two went spinning through the infield back up onto the track. We're going to take a look down the order real quick on the ticker, looking for the 19 of Cucalon. And he might actually be worse off than we thought. We're going to go find him. No, he's 12th. So Cucalon currently
better off
is 12th. If he can make it, so he should, if we're
okay, so he needs a caution now. Okay.
Cucalon needs a caution now. He's about to get one with these guys going three wide. But what I'm looking at here is, at the end of the race, if the pit stops line up like they did, and now remember, he won Iowa off of those pit stops, off of having an issue and coming down pit road. So he's not afraid of this strategy right now, as these guys are real close behind him. He's on old tires, so he will be outpaced by these guys for a little bit. But once the tires start wearing in, it'll be less and less that he's losing each lap. Plus, this 19 car is faster than half the field anyway, even on older tires. You see him hanging on up here. If pit stops go his way at the end, if these guys pit with about 10 to 15 to go, and Cucalon pits 10 to 15 laps earlier, he could still be fighting inside the top 15 before the end of this race. But if he goes on that route, he needs 0 cautions in the event. He needs this race to go green. So it's either a caution now on these times when he is back on the lead lap, Hagen on pit road, or he needs a caution never and needs this race to go green the entire way. And Jefferson's on the apron. 48 car, an oil leak on Jefferson. That's going to hand the lead over to Morris.
Well, this changes everything. Gives some bonus points to the 55. And yeah, so that's big. Now Morris, when he's in that race lead, that gives him even more points on Cucalon that Sebi has to manage. I'm pretty sure if Morris leads now, there's still 60 laps in this race, excuse me. He could easily get the most laps led. That's some more bonus, and there's almost a caution there again with the 04. Picard getting his nose in everybody's business today. But Morris now, this is what he needs. Nobody around him. Anjak 6 seconds back. He needs to show what he can do at Kansas without getting into other cars.
Now remember last season, 1.5 mile track at Chicagoland. it was Onjak who was able to help reel in the 55 and fought him for the race win. So Onjak is definitely not one you should laugh at a track like Kansas, because Kansas and Chicagoland probably more similar than other tracks in terms of the racing styles here. Also, Morris, you see, the 04 has been trying to crash everyone this race. The 55 is working his way through lap traffic now. You got someone back down pit. Is that Jefferson again down pit road? No, that's Austin Murray.
Murray's off cycle, remember. He pit with 5 laps into the race.
Okay, so the 2 SBR guys are off cycle, so we'll be looking more at Austin Murray as well to see how Cucalon does here. Sebi's now starting to lose some time. Those tires are starting to wear. But again, if he finishes 17th at the end of this race, he would be able to win the title. He needs to finish outside, currently 24th would be the cutoff for the championship as they run. And right now, Morris is getting ready to lap more cars. But the big thing for Morris, these lappers are going to race him a little harder than they are racing Onjak. They're also going to race probably Cucalon a little less hard than they're racing Morris. And you see Murray coming up the track right there. Either way, it's a Toyota taking the championship today. But the 55 of Morris, he is right now just hoping that this race has a caution soon as the 19 goes down pit road. But what a story it would be. If this race goes green, this could be a very exciting championship finish.
Murray still probably have to pit with probably 5 to go or something unless he catches a caution. So sorry to all the Austin Murray fans at home, as Strickland and Porta mixing it up there in the midfield. TSR, heartbreaking for Jay Jefferson yet again to have an issue like that when you have such a dominant car, looking to go back-to-back to close the season out. But Spurley, too, carrying the torch for the team now in his final start. Do want to take a quick look while we have a little bit of downtime on track. Eli Bright, Jacob Edson, Alex Benyako. There's Benyako. He's doing good. He's running 10th, so it'd be nice to close out his career with a top 10. Looking also for the 8 and the 82. Does not look like they're in the top 20. Edson just outside of it. If he can catch up to that group of cars, that'll be good for him. And Eli has been stuck in go-home qualifying all year. He has been put a lap down. Unfortunate for the 8 team.
It is sad to see a lot of these guys go as well. Ditech Motorsports right here, dissolving at the end of the season, is merging with Maverick Motorsports, with William Duncan taking on more of a role while Alex Benyako stays in the background and enjoys his retirement. Antoine Smith, your truck champion, will be the pilot of the number 33 next season for this team. Stephen Wallace Jr. also leaving GDI at the end of the season. This car goes over to what will be Henson Neal Motorsports, used to be BKR, Burger King Racing. A lot of drivers moving teams as well. You got Gatlin Downey leaving RER, Max Anderson leaving RER, going down to the Truck Series. A lot of things happening, a lot of things changing at the end of the year, but as always, it is constant. You got drivers fighting for the wins, fighting for the championships. There is Cucalon now. He will pit, so now he's hoping for a green flag run until the next pit cycle, which would be around lap 60. So, Cucalon, though, I believe this is a little short pit on the 19, so this could be a little scarier now if this race was to go green on fuel. But I imagine he would run this car out of fuel at the end if he had to take this. But again, now he'll have fresher tires. This is the chance he'll be able to make up. Plus, don't forget, this night...
Goodness me. They almost got his caution at the worst possible time. Roger Ray, Irving Allison, I don't know what they were doing down into turn 1.
Real aggressive between these two there. But as we were saying with Cucalon, now he needs these guys to be green. There he is. So he is back 2 laps down. We'll see if he can race his way past and back up into the fight. But it is the 55 of Morris out in front trying to win a championship here for BGM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Probably get those replays up as we saw from these earlier incidents with the 19 and all that. We'll get you guys back to the action here at the halfway point of the Champions 400 at Kansas. Back live here at Kansas, the field going on by. You see Onjak back there in second, just going by on your screen. There is Cucalon in the midst of a bunch of more lap cars. You see Onjak has gained about a second in the last 8 or so laps, so not really outpacing him. As a couple cars getting close back there. I don't know what that was. It looked like Ray might have had something. Ray's car's starting to fade now that he's gotten in contact with the 84 of Ray. But as we go back racing here, I just want to point out, like, this is a very wild race. You got Morris and Onjak 3 seconds up on everyone, and Onjak's still outpacing Morris by a good margin now. And it's over 10 seconds back to the rest of the field, so pretty much everyone else in this race, besides Cucalon at least at this moment, and Morris, are looking for a caution. Cucalon needs to wait for at least maybe another 10 laps for caution before these guys come down pit road, as he and Butcher got real close, having to hold up there. But this is when Sebi needs to push. He needs to get aggressive and make some moves because he needs to get by as many cars as he can to pull up on the race leaders. But it is Morris out in front and Onjak in second. I think he's lost a little bit of time there. Yeah, back to 4 seconds. But Peter's still not out of this yet. He does have a fast car and just has to work his way through a bunch of lap traffic.
If the rest of this race stays green, we could see an impressive metric where, because 10th place Matthew Eves you see 20 seconds behind, if Morris keeps gaining time on these pit stops, he could maybe even lap all the way up to 10th by the time this race is over, which would just be insane to think about, but it is possible because there's still 2 more stops these drivers have to make.
And that is important. There's 2 more stops for everyone on track, except the 19 of Cucalon. We did the math under the commercial break. If he runs 26 laps for his next stint, for this stint and his next stint, he would be good to go by about 2 laps at the end on fuel. Meaning, if this race goes green, and honestly, for all the fans, for all the drivers, I think I'd rather see that than a caution-filled race here. This 19 car could be fighting at the end in 13th, 14th, somewhere around there on old tires trying to stay ahead of the 24th position in points. So this could be an Iowa-esque situation for Cucalon. And you see there smartly not going to take it 3 wide. Sam Picard's tried to crash about 7 times today in that 04. He knows Jefferson's very aggressive as well. Caution is out. And there it goes. I think I saw the yellow lights on. Yes, it is. It's Bowers. And Morris is there.
Get him!
And it's a championship over.
Championship implications as the field piles in. Cucalon's there too. He gets through it.
And will anyone else pile in? No. Barely. I think Charles Sanford just ran into the back of the 01.
Oh.
And a lot of cars torn up. A spin in front. And that's all Cucalon needed. The 55's out. Cucalon's going to win the championship. Based on that, Jefferson's car destroyed. Jay's going to be fuming in that race car.
What a way to go out.
Those guys are flying in real quickly, but we've said every race in the NSDCA has been memorable for one reason or another at Kansas. We've had a memorable finale. This race was going to be all Morris's, and it's not going to be. Cucalon's staying out. He might just be going for a wave around, or he's trying to stay out because you see other lappers coming in. Things confuse me here in the NSDCA sometimes, but the 55 had the car to beat all day, and you can't say anything about it. He could have went anywhere else. He could have went around, piled in. 55 is done. His championship is over. Sebastian Cucalon will sneak out of this one with the title. Just snuck through that crash, even though if he was in that crash, it really wouldn't have mattered. And what a dramatic finish to this. That's going to give Onjak the lead. And Onjak was 10 seconds ahead, so this could be his race to lose now. He's had a very fast car, and the 2 best cars in the grid, the 48 and 55, are now out. This traps a ton of cars a lap down, but I think based on that, these guys, look at Edson and Duncan's crew. They're actually going to get him out ahead of Onjak, and that's going to give him the wave around. So all these cars are going to get the wave around. We'll have to see who gets the free pass. Must be the 04 of Picard, but we'll update that by looking at the replays. Morris's day done. Bowers went around. We'll get the quick commercial break after we see what happened to end the championship fight. Anderson Reed, ex-Onjado driver, going after Carson Bowers, the last Onjado champion right here. They're going to get into the corner. Reed's going to just miscalculate as Bowers looked like he might have braked early. Bowers gets set into the wall. And with all bank tracks, it's kind of self-cleaning as you fall down the track. Everyone's trying to get through. Morris tried to get to the bottom, but I think he hit something right into the back of the 25, and it takes out Morris's championship. Next up, though, is Stephen Wallace Jr. flying in, and a couple more will pile in on the bottom. Look at Picard and Cucalon just get through that. A lot of cars torn up here with some crashing in the back. You see Charles Sanford also pile in. A lot of cars torn up, and the championship is decided on that. The 55 of Morris. His day is done from the race lead.
The racing gods never forget. 3 years ago here at Kansas, Brandon Morris influenced the battle of the championship by causing a crash down into the corner. Now, Morris sees a car, panics, carries too much speed onto the apron, leaves the car with no choice, carries it up the hill right into the stranded car of Carson Bowers, and it's all up in smoke for Morris when he thought he could have had it won.
Cucalon's been driving this car precisely all day, doing exactly what he needed to do. Everything he needed to do, and he sees the crash in front of him. His spotter's just telling him where it's at, probably now screaming on the radio the 55's in it, and he drives to the bottom. Look at that last minute turn right to the inside, gets through it. Great drive by Cucalon, and he's trapped 2 laps down, but it doesn't matter. The 55's going to finish behind him, and the championship is his. Cucalon takes a little victory slide through the grass. His championship, it's his for this season.
After the race was turned on its head, the championship fight is over early. Carson Bowers hits the wall, leaving Brandon Morris with a decision. And really, he was in a position where any decision was just not going to work out, into the back of the 25. And then after that comes a GDI tag team and others getting taken out. Jefferson's race goes from bad to worse. Under caution, and a race to close out and a season to close out from Kansas right after this.
Calamity strikes here at Kansas, and the championship is decided about 40 laps earlier than the end of the race. But now, Cucalon is out of the race. Well, is out of contention, really. He's 2 laps down, or 1 lap down in the back, as he got a wave around. Onjek has a win this year. Lane and Spurley Tube do not. Goforth has 3. DeLello has 1. Irving Allison has 1. Matthew Eves, Roger Ray have not won in the Cup Series. Neither has Alloway, neither has Strigley, nor Benyako. Burkhart, it's been a year. Porta hasn't gotten one on an oval yet this season. Friesen, Max Anderson, Yepes, Neal, your top 17 on the lead lap. A couple wave arounds near the back. Green flags back in the air. We got a race to decide, and there is no reason to fight and let these championship drivers go. It's going to be a battle to the end.
Well, some of the fastest cars have had issues. Really, the fastest one yet that hasn't had one is Onjek. He takes the race lead. Spurley Tube gets shuffled high. Lane a second. Goforth the third. DeLello might have something to say about it. Here comes the 57 looking to the inside. 3, clear track ahead of him. Does not take the move. Goforth lifts off. Says, go after you. And DeLello gets up to third. Here comes Lane challenging for the point. Onjek trying to pinch. It's Menards versus Walmart into turn 1.
Colton Lane, remember, he is the highest running driver in points without a win this season. He made the chase on points without needing to settle for the points wildcard spot. He was inside the top 10. Those were his only bonus points entering the chase. He's inside the top 5 fighting in the championship fight. But Colton Lane, he won here before in the Mountain Dew Custom Series when he won his championship 2 years ago. Now this 60 team is out in front. The Walmart colors trying to get to victory lane for Monster. It's been a while since Chevy's gone to victory lane, as Jefferson and Onjak have been winning races. And we got a battle back here. 3x3. Yepes, Srigley, Ray is dropping. That 84 car, I think, is something's going on with Ray. He has been dropping like a rock during this race, as this second pack is all formed up together and everyone's fighting for every position they can.
Yeah, Fries and Burkhart there got stuck with the lap car. Brady even dropping further back. Curtis, I think, had to take extra time on pit road, so he's back here as well. Benyako, everybody trying to sort it out. Cucalon, I mean, he might as well at this point park it and just celebrate early. There's no even reason for him to be out here, but obviously they still need data to collect. That's not a winning mentality, just to say, oh, I've got it, let me just come in. But we got a race at the lead still. I mean, Onjak and Lane, they were fighting up there. Let's see if they still are. Onjak has it back over Lane. Up to third is Goforth and Ellison. BGM, they still got 2 more bullets in their gun trying to get it done, as Spurley 2 and Eames battle one another here just outside the top 5.
Look at Jeff Alloway again. He's the rookie that has never ran a Truck, Mountain Dew Custom Series, Dr. Pepper Dash Series, Molson. His only experience is in a Cup car. He came out at I-69, got a top 10 for P2M. He's been loved or hated in the garage, depending on who you ask. He's been a bit of a problem out on the racetrack sometimes, and other times he's doing this. Has survived some crashes, taken this car to the top 10. He is driving at this team next season in the number 91, while Carter Friesen comes back to pedal to metal, running the number 70. These two are fighting now down into turn 1 with Matthew Eves. Eves would like to at least win this race. That would be definitely a different send-off. Coming out for theirs. Goforth now is jumping up to second. BGM, they're not going to celebrate a title this season, but they want to at least get possibly a race win to call it off and continue that Toyota dominance. Goforth to second, Lane back to third, Irving Allison in fourth, DeLello fifth. And as we've said before, we'll say it again. If you don't believe the best drivers on track are in the chase, look at where those yellow spoilers are running. First to fifth, you got driver in 10th. Look at Anderson Reed, restarted this race 18th. He's up in the top 10 now, fighting with Carter Friesen. They're both trying to get up there around some of the other guys.
Toyota's dominance, especially here in the Cup Series, has just been incredible this season as Reed tries to wipe out another driver into 3. But as you see Irving getting by Lane there, I mean, they have just been dominant across BGM and SBR. All 3 of these top series have just been Toyota, Toyota, Toyota all year. I mean, you've seen Dodges in the trucks and the NSDCA really shine, but that is mainly off the backs of leeches in both of those series. When it comes down to the series regulars, it has basically been Toyota or bust this season, and that just shows you the might of what they've done as they have been able to rebuild their programs ever since really Blake Maurice left. After that, Toyota really cooled down for a couple of years, but they played the long game and they're showing their might this season for sure.
While we were talking about that, a great battle happened for third, fourth, and fifth. BGM versus Monster. Goforth slowly reeling in Onjak. And really, the only drivers that have been able to consistently stop the Toyotas have been Peter Onjak getting up there fighting for wins. You've had Jay Jefferson steal 3 from him. Chevy, the Monster guys, have kind of traded off 1 win apiece for a couple of those guys. And you've seen not really anything else at TSR, but you have seen Tip Foster take a win there as well. Cody Goforth with a big run on Onjak. He's trying to take what will be yet another win, really, for Toyota this season. Absolute dominance. And if they win this race with Goforth, that just show this season. Once you take out some of the best cars, still Jefferson, you know, this race really has been the storybook of the season. Cucalon coming at the back. He has to face a bunch of adversity, overcomes it. He's going to win the championship. You had Morris, who has been strong all year, but it's either been boom or bust for him. He had those 4 wins in 5 races earlier this season, but he was only 4th in the standings because he kept finishing in the back. And today, that was a tale of 2 stories there. You have some of the guys that are just kind of middle of the pack, as Jeff Alloway is low down the back straightaway. He's still on the lead lap, so I don't know if there's something wrong with the 91. We'll take a quick look there. Little slow there, dropping right on back. We'll get a further update on that later if anything happens. We got a battle for the lead, and Goforth's going to carry right on by Onjak. And that's the other thing. Jefferson has had problems all season long. That's why he wasn't able to fight for a championship really this season. Onjak just hasn't been able to stop the 17, the 55, or the 19. And you really see when the 55 and 19 are down, it's usually the 17 that comes up to pick up the slack. And even at Old Spice, when those two fought off with Cucalon and Goforth, really, his first win came in the second half of the season, and he's looking for his 4th today if he can win this race.
Well, we're settling in. I mean, we're kind of about halfway still from the final pit stop. So this race still has another chance of getting mixed up here if there isn't a caution. I mean, we've really spread out after it was a really intense restart. You see that big group of cars back there, 7th, but the top 6, it's all calm for now. As we fly through the field, all of these lappers still all together. Looking back, Carter Friesen, this is his last race with Sauber. You see him mixing up there with Matty Porta. Porta, I believe, is rumored to go back to his old number font next season, the one that he made the number 20 famous in, because I don't think fans were a little bit critical of the one that he's running this year with his change to Monster Motorsports. Personally, I think it's fine. Anderson Reed also changing numbers, so it's a lot of little moving parts. I mean, it could be tough for some of the fans to keep track of next year, but I mean, I'm looking forward to racing next year if there is any. And Cucalon in for the final time today, but no worries there on the 19 camp as Goforth takes the lead, as it wouldn't be an NSDCA race if we missed a lead change, right?
Yep, that's how it is, and that's how it's going to end this season. You see the battle for third heating up. If you're looking at the top guys, most of these guys are returning to their teams. DeLello moving over to the Toyota camp, though. Colton Lane returning next season. Spurleytube taking over what is the 85, going to Sauber Racing Team after a successful truck campaign. Thinks he can get more on a single car operation in the Cup Series. Porta, of course, moving over to a different font possibly next year. Anderson Reed wanted the number 1 because that's where he wants to finish in this number 3 car. CFRO closing down. Matthew Eves, it's unknown. I don't remember where he's going in the Cup Series next year, but I do believe he has the 48 truck for next season. That might be going to Colton Yo. But I do think Eves is still going to be in TSR camp somehow. Again, Alloway staying at P2M. And Dusty Neal, he'll be moving over to Henson Neal Motorsports with this 94 car going with them. We'll see how that goes next season.
Boy, Anderson Reed really checked up there through 3, but Cody Goforth, kind of a what could have been this season. I think next season he could be a championship favorite next year, because you got to think all those heartbreaks, missing out on first place finishes, coming up short, cost him points. Numerous engine failures this season cost him points. If just a couple things got moved around, if a couple more pistons didn't blow, you could be putting Cody Goforth in championship victory lane this year. Onjak, though, worrying about the race victory lane right now, right back to the back bumper, the 17.
Just like how you were talking about Goforth, you could say that for any of these drivers really in that top 8 in points. Peter Onjak entered this race with the most points. A horrible first 2 races, just dug him too deep of a hole to get out of. He had a couple good runs here at Auto Club and Kansas, but still heartbreaking for that 44, especially after how so close he was last year. Irving Allison even was having a strong chase. He kind of fell out in the last few races. Colton Lane, even Zachary DeLello came alive in the chase. So if you're looking at it next season with how many cars are in here, and we noticed this from last year to this year. Of course, last year we only had about 25, 30 cars in races. This year we had full fields of 40 with guys going home as Onjak dives back to the inside of Goforth. It's going to be really nice next year and in the future years. The NSDCA not adding any more series to its lineup, actually possibly removing the Molson Modifieds from their normal lineup in the coming seasons if things go a certain way. You're going to see these seats now get filled by the best drivers at that time, and it's not going to be guys just kind of field-filling seats. Even with Jeff Alloway, there was no other option. He's in the 91. At least this one proved out to be pretty decent for P2M as he's been having a good season, but you're going to see the cream of the crop rise up. You're going to have great championship battles in the series if we do indeed continue on after this, and a lot of teams will start to be moving towards the front. A lot of shakeups next season, especially in terms of equipment. It is going to be a very exciting time for next year if indeed that does happen. But for some of the guys at the back here, Alex Bignacco not being here next year. Will still be at the track, sometimes rooting on his team, rooting on his fans, of course. He did not rule out making a start in PA in front of the hometown crowd, but does believe he will be gone. William Duncan, of course, going to BGM. Ditech, this is their last race as Ditech. Jacob Edson trying to take flight one last time, but hopefully he keeps all 4 wheels on the ground for this one, and he's with the other guy that's retiring at the end of the season, Eli Bright, as well in the 8 truck. We said goodbye to Zachary Fitzwater in yesterday's event, saying goodbye to many more in today's event, and it is heartbreaking to see a couple guys like Morris and others taking their final starts and crashing out. But it's been a good season so far. We're down to 14 to go here at Kansas. At least one more pit stop for these guys. That'll be the question on when it is, and that could be the factor. But Peter Onjak now has gotten away and pulled away from Cody Goforth, as it looks like now. There is pit stops. Onjak staying 1 out. Everyone else undercutting your race leader.
They hung Onjak out to dry. I mean, I could hear all them impact guns beep, 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 beep. They're on pit lane getting ready for these pit stops, but I'm sure the BGM crew, Lane, DeLello, do the opposite of what the leader does. And they saw with Cucalon the undercut benefits. The benefits of that. Getting on the fresh tires sooner is incredible here at Kansas. Maybe just with the colder weather, maybe it's the aging track surface. I don't know, but it clearly works. And so it's a no-brainer call from Goforth and Allison to beat the 44 on a pit road.
But I want to point out, too, they only took 2 tires, right sides for the 17 and 16. The question is, will Onjak go for 2 tires as well? I'm sure his team has told him what is up with those guys, but this is going to be the battle. What if there's some people out on track? It'd be monumental to save 10 laps of fuel here, and you see Onjak's going to go for 2 tires only. But if anyone could somehow make it to the end, only Cucalon and maybe Murray, depending on when Murray's come in, that'll be the only factor there. But here comes Onjak back out. We'll see where he is in consideration to Cody Goforth and Irving Allison, as that is what he's racing. And I don't see anyone anywhere near him. And there they are, just entering turn 1. This could be close with Onjak getting back up to speed.
They'll get him. They're carrying so much more speed than that 44. Goforth will blow by. Allison might as well. Oh, am I wrong? I'm wrong. All right, I'll be wrong on that. I mean, Goforth still has a big run here, but he might catch him in a bad spot. Does have to lift off a little bit probably, but he'll go by him right into turn 1. So that undercut shows you how much. He was about a second behind before pit stops. Now swoop spot for the race lead as Alex Beniaco stayed out longer on this run to get one more lap led on his career. That's a good thing. I think he's on pit road now. Yeah, just coming off it as this pit cycle fully cycles its way through.
That is sad. We're going to be losing Alex Beniaco at the end of the season. Again, we have a lot of drivers we are losing at the end of the year. Heartbreaking to see that. But now we got a race to finish. Everyone's made it. They have enough on fuel. 10 to go here at Kansas. And Onjak can pressure Cody Goforth if he can get up there. Irving Allison 3rd. Lane 4th. Vince Freeze is not 5th. He's a lap down. There's DeLello in 5th. Riley Spurley looking for a top 10 run to end his time at TSR, especially after a disappointing season. There's Reed, and we are racing as Alloway gets real aggressive right there. Moves the 85 out, and William Duncan's in the top 15. Great pit call by the 33. He's up fighting for a top 10 right now.
Yeah, he's going to have to get by that 77, or at least either of the 77 or 85. No, both of them, because the 91's gotten by. I can't count. But that 77, I believe that's going to be driven by Stephen Wallace Jr. next season, of all people.
That will be Yepes staying at Monster, but moving over to the 7 in an interesting call there. Handing over the iconic number 77. I mean, he went winless this year, but he was ride hopping around about 7 or 8 teams in that 77 car. It started out, I believe, with Austin Johnson in the car, and now it's just not him. There you see Sam Picard and Luke Evans so far off the pace into the corner, and that is going to help extremely. Now they're going to go side by side. Goforth's going to have to take him 3 wide to get by him. Picard has thrown it in there. He's almost crashed 4 times today. I wouldn't be doing that, Cody. And now he's...
Look at the Dodges try and help the Toyotas, but Irving Allison has put his name into the mix as well. He held up Onjak, so they didn't really gain anything.
Well, here we go. Now Irving's looking to the inside of Peter. Not going to send it in there, but we'll see how Onjak and Irving get by Goforth, or get by the 2 lappers up here, as Picard is still being in the way. I forget if it was earlier this season or not, where precaution is out. We got Burkhardt around down here, so... we're setting up for a green-white checkered finish. The lappers go away. Picard, I believe, is fighting for the free pass. No, Cucalon's going to get the free pass in the 19. What a turn of events there. He's going to finish this race on the lead lap. But Goforth now. He's your race leader. Burkhardt around, and this is going to set up. Onjak knows what he has to do on this restart. He's got to get by this 17.
Always something a little bit exciting to mix into the end of these races. Fans, maybe some of them left early, but the ones that stuck around, they should see a good one here. I can't wait.
I don't imagine anyone's going to come down pit road. If they do, we will let you know about that. Either way, we're going to rack these guys back up, get ready to go back racing. And we'll be racing here for the end of this race. Hopefully a quick yellow for these guys here at Kansas. This is a pretty simple spin. Roger Ray on the inside. He got a little frustrated with his car kind of falling away. 99 goes in. He does just misjudges it. We've seen most of the crashes in turn 3 today. 99 goes spinning, but this time no one has to hit him. Thankfully for Cody Goforth, does not follow in his teammates' footsteps. Burkhardt continues on. A torn up race car for the 99. We're going to get you guys back for a green flag finish. Sundrop Cup Series finale is going to end with a green-white checkered finish. A championship decided. Sebastian Cucalon, your Season 2 SDCS champion, just got the wave around to be back on the lead lap. But Peter Onjak, Irving Allison, Colton Lane, Zachary DeLello are going to be chasing Cody Goforth for all he's got on this restart. It's going to be a 2-lap dash to decide it here at Kansas. And that will end our season. What a fantastic season we've had. A lot of chaos, a lot of controversy, but a lot of great racing action. Fantastic races, fantastic storylines. And it's going to end here with 3 miles to go in the Champions 400.
Last race of the season, nothing to hold back. No championship contenders in the mix. That's already decided. Go for broke. Go try and win this race. If you're Irving, do you want to help your teammate? Do you want to win it for yourself? I mean, Spurley Tube, do you want to let TSR, you want to go out on top with TSR? Or do you want to give them those upgrade points that they'll be using against you next season? What's it going to be like here? Goforth controls the field here for a natural green-white checkered finish.
And the season ends right here in a yellow, in a green, in a white, or a checkered. Green flag's back in the air. Onjak with the jump. Here he goes, not wasting any time. To the inside goes the 44, looking for the top spot against Goforth. He's going to clear him and shoot away. Onjak looking to win this race, which he couldn't last year.
That Mopar power sends Onjak out by a mile. Irving is second. They're going to have to defend here. Lane can't pick a lane. He goes into the middle. DeLello to the inside of his teammate now. Onjak home free. Maybe not. White flag because that gap's starting to wear off a little bit. If Irving can catch him, he might have a shot off of turn 4.
That's if Goforth
Neil
doesn't let him.
re-dicing back there side by side here. Take us home.
And here we come off the corner. Irving said, "Get away from me, Cody. I'm going for it all." 2 drivers looking for another win to end this season. Irving sends it up the inside. Peter just lets him have it. Doesn't look like there was anything fighting for the 44. Irving right by on the inside, and this season ends like it began. Toyota in victory lane, a win and a championship. Irving Allison wins the race, and Sebastian Cucalon, as he crosses the line right there, is your Season 2 champion. It was 6 years since the last time he had a shot at a title. Almost had it at Atlanta in the Mountain Dew Custom Series. And SBR makes history. 3 championships, 3 series. Adam Mitchell, Antoine Smith, Sebastian Cucalon. Triple champs for SBR. But still will not touch Jay Jefferson's record of winning 2 championships himself last season. That bumps SBR now tied with the most championships all time with Onjado and TSR, I'm fairly sure, with 3 apiece there. And now he gets to celebrate this whole offseason. Matthew Eves, you know he's already climbing out of that car, ready to run down to that 19 crew. And the season ends 2 lead changes on the last 2 laps there. They just couldn't defend him, and Irving Allison's going to at least be able to celebrate in victory lane his 2nd Cup Series win. Fantastic drive by that team as well, but Toyota ends the season on top once again.
What a season out of the NSDCA once again. Thank you for bringing me up here in the booth. A great one once again at Kansas. Just an unpredictable racetrack. Heartbreak and heroship, whatever you want to say, it's almost likely it's going to be true for the NSDCA. What a series. Thank you for having me in the booth, and thank you to everybody at home that supported this over the years.
With that, we see many drivers retiring from their full-time rides as well. You got a top 10 for Strigley, just going to shout that out beforehand, but Eli Bright, his final start, he brings it home 14th. Jacob Edson beats out Alex Benyako at the end for 17th and 18th. And the rest of the grid, Cucalon got 22nd. But of course, you have Morris in the 55. Had a shot at the title, was looking to walk off and win a championship going into the sunset, retiring from the NSDCA next season after really not 7 successful years, but a last few good ones. Finally got himself into victory lane, got his mojo with BGM. That is 4 drivers there retiring, including Zachary Fitzwater from yesterday's event in the Truck Series. He took that extra lap to salute the fans, and I want to as well. For the past 7 years, we have ran the NSDCA pretty much 4 years straight. I know that kind of doesn't make sense. We've had 7 seasons in 4 years, but you get my gist. We had a lot of fun times, a lot of drama, a lot of controversy, but some great racing and great memories, and we don't know if the NSDCA will return next season. I've had a great time commentating this for the last 4 years, especially with Peter, and I don't know if there will be any more. If you've seen that announcement already, we don't know. No matter what, we'll still be here. We'll still have the memories. We'll still have all the race videos going on that you can watch from the past 7 years. It's been a fantastic journey for everyone. And with that, the season will come to a close for season number 7. Thank you guys so much for tuning in the past 4 years. And hopefully, we'll see you guys next time on the NSDCA.